It's a very special edition of Online at 6PR. The Angels in town for a gig and doing a very special one-off performance for all those onliners and all those guys who like to click instead of listen. Guys, thanks for coming to town. Now, but it's not the original lineup. There is a new fella, Dave Gleeson, from better known from the Jets.
Yeah. Yep.
So, mate, how'd you get the gig? Was it? I can't imagine the phone call.
Well, he's sort of a pushy guy, you know. Can I tell the story? Yeah. Rick and I were doing a Brewster Brothers show in a place called The House in Harndorf in South Australia, up in the hills. And because we work as the Brewster Brothers as well, and we had my son Sam playing bass and Nick Norton on the drums, and Dave turned up because he lives fairly close by. And as you know, these kind of singers do, he sort of inched his way closer to the stage until he was virtually on the stage. And then he was on the stage, I said, "Oh, do you want to do a few Angel songs?" So that's how it started. And he sang a few songs, and we asked him to join because we were basically off the road, looking like permanently, really. His doc sort of left and went off to do his solo thing, and basically we were, left without a singer. So and that wasn't the only reason, by the way. We just thought that Dave just really suited the band. The sound of his voice, I mean, he's a lovely guy and all that, but that aside, just the sound of his voice and his performance.
I think it was
fantastic.
Within a week or 2 weeks, we were in the studio recording a 5-track EP.
Because I must admit, I've forgotten to introduce the backbone of the Angels, the Brewster Brothers, John, who you heard first, and of course Rick as well, sitting over there. Hard to tell you two apart. So you're basically saying Dave was that stray puppy that you just couldn't get rid of.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, like in the Doc Martin show. Yeah.
What was the initiation? I mean, how did he have to prove himself? Was there an official "Get Your Wings" for the Angels initiation?
Well, he's never had to prove himself because we've always been an admirer of Dave and the Jets. We've done a lot of gigs together, and so there was no sort of doubt about what Dave can do. But you never really know until you put these things together. And we did a couple of shows, one in Sydney and one in Adelaide, as we called it Rick Brewster's Angels for sort of legal reasons at the time. They just went off,
Yeah.
So we just went, well, this is great. And then we did a show in Japan, and that was brilliant. We were there for 6 days, did one gig, and we were very well looked after.
Can we have more of that touring?
A nice start.
Dave is still on probation, mate.
On the newbie.
It'll be a permanent probation.
Is that with the band or legal?
By the way,
a friend of mine, a friend of ours, Mark Evans, who played with AC/DC early on, he's written a book called Dirty Deeds. And he was doing a book signing a couple of months ago, and someone came up to him and he said, they were talking about Bon, he says, "I still like him better than the new guy." He said, Brian Johnson's been singing for 30 years with ACDC.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a hard apprenticeship, that one.
That is.
Well, guys, look, I'm going to just make sure the camera's recording. If you guys just want to give a little bit of a tune-up, and I think we should test you out with some of the old school Angels.
All right.
So, lads, what are we going to hear?
Well, let's do Shadow Boxer. That's because I've got an acoustic guitar here. That should suit that, I think. Unrehearsed.
Let's take it away, guys.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ask me questions, get no answers. Give me nothing, take no chances. Show me books with empty pages. Wind your clocks and read your pages. Shadow boxer, shadow boxer. Tell me truths that have no meaning. Live in rooms that have no ceiling. All your friends are now departed. So your secrets closely guarded. Shadow boxer, shadow boxer, shadow boxer. Don't go walking out late at night. Bolt your door, lock your windows tight. Be much safer staying out of sight. Just a shadow boxer, shadow boxer, shadow boxer.
Yeah.
Don't go walking out late at night. Bolt your door, lock your window tight. Be much safer staying out of sight. You might go down in a state of fright. Watch out when you're all alone, locked inside your safety zone. You might find that you have turned a stone. Shadow boxer, shadow boxer, shadow boxer, shadow boxer. You ain't nothing but a shadow boxer. Shadow boxer, shadow boxer.
Well, that's awesome. I'm happy. I just had a personal concert
And I
with
love
the
your
Angels.
year in the middle of it. That's great.
Awesome.
Couldn't hold myself back. You're lucky I wasn't stage diving. The apprenticeship, you're still serving it, Dave.
Yes,
but
indeed.
you're contributing?
Actually, the boys have been writing quite a few songs. They've hit a bit of a purple patch for songwriting, and it was only last week I handed some lyrics over to.
Oh,
Rick
what was
and-
that like? How, guys, this is you've been good so far. Just want to put my little edge on
A
it.
little
This
bit
is
daunting.
little thing I scribbled down on the back of a coaster.
Well, you never know. I mean, these guys have written some of the greatest Australian rock songs ever. So if I can be a bit part of writing some songs together with them, I'll be a very happy man.
Well, how'd it go, John?
I couldn't agree with Dave more. I mean, it's really not about us writing the great songs, but to start getting into his lyrics, because before Dave came into the band, we had written a few songs and we wrote some more in Japan, and we haven't really got to looking at Dave's lyrics, mainly because he hasn't brought them to us yet.
Yeah, I'm pretty slack.
But now we are, and I think that's going to be very exciting. I've just looked at a couple of the lyrics, and I think they're really good, really good street poetry. So
Were you sort of compelled to say, "Well, no, we've got
No.
to change this. We can't use that. No, that's not Angels. That's not Angels."
well, we're not making too much of a hard and fast rules about that. We just went in the studio last week actually and recorded 7 songs in 4 days. I can't believe it. With vocals and everything, it's amazing. And there are a couple of songs there that are really not necessarily typical what people might think is typically Angels, but they really work.
Oh, brilliant!
So-
Because when you go that acoustic line with music that is just synonymous with Australian rock and roll and getting out there and just being sweaty in pubs and maybe indulging in a little bit too much drinking and all that sort of stuff. When you go to the acoustic side of things, do you surprise yourself when you do some of those songs acoustic and go, mate, what have we been doing all these years? This is a perler for the old acoustic.
Yes, who needs a drummer? No, it's well, Rick and I've sort of discovered that a few years ago when we started playing with Brewster Brothers, and we just started with just 2 acoustic guitars. Then Rick went on to like he's doing in here actually, and with his electric guitar. And I mean the thing is about our old repertoire. Most of those songs work really well, just stripped right back, and that was kind of a bit of a rule we had amongst ourselves back in those days when we wrote those songs, that they should work at a party. If you walk along to a party with an acoustic guitar in your hand and you sing a song, it should work with just an acoustic guitar. Otherwise, it's not good enough.
You don't want to be saying, "Oh, you should hear it with like big drums and stuff." That's great.
I have a 40-piece band behind
It
me.
makes it much better.
You'd be rocking with me. All right. Well, you haven't been lazy. You haven't been just a passenger on the coattails of the Angels. You've contributed. And is this the Waiting for the Sun? This is
Waiting for the Sun tour, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And this is I guess this is an online exclusive for all the listeners out there for the Angels. The Waiting for the Sun, the title track.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for the EP it is. Yeah, and it's a song that Rick and I wrote to the lyric of a guy called Joe Burnham, who used to be the drummer of Supernaut.
Supernaut, rock on.
And he sent us some lyrics, and we sat in the front kitchen in my house at Victor Harbour, right on the seafront there, and plugged into a couple of electric amps and wrote this song.
All right. Well, this is a test for you, Dave. Have you heard this one, mate? This is
Yeah,
for you,
I have. I've been boning up on me lyrics, that's for sure.
All right, take it away, and I promise I'll keep quiet.
looking out the window, waiting for the sun. I'm hoping I won't fade away before the daylight comes. Pour myself across the table, all was said and paid. I wipe away the dirt and dust, I see my damage made. I'm 20 feet above the ground, looking down can't make a sound, hoping I won't fade away. I'm waiting for the sun. The air in here, it holds the fear, the torment and the fun. You can cut it with a silent knife, you're gonna bring it all undone. I lay myself upon the floor, no pillow for my head. Feel its breeze across my face, my skin that slowly sheds. The thunder rolls above my head, so many lives that I have led, hoping I won't fade away. I'm waiting for the sun.